So let's talk about the response body annotation one more time. We know that response body annotation could be used to send back the data rather than sending back the view. The returning a view. So when you're using response body, we are responding to the client directly without getting any view resolver involved. Okay. So response body is an annotation that indicates that a method return value should be bound to the web response body rather than returning a logical view. So here, suppose we have a method called the getAll, okay, and suppose this getAll method is being invoked as a handler, okay, and it's actually handling get. And we haven't talked about the concept of produces yet. So basically what it means is that the result of the actual contents that we are generating inside the body is supposed to be JSON format. Okay, so by having response body and by having this produces of JSON value, we are basically generating JSON from this people list object. Okay, so list of person object, right? So from the list of person object, we are going to create JSON from it, and that will be returned to the client. Okay, so this is retrieving all person in JSON format. If you want to retrieve a single item, so this is retrieving one item in JSON. So in this case, it's gonna retrieve a single person. Again, we want to retrieve in the form of the JSON. Okay, and again, we are using response body annotation, and here it returns a person object rather than a list of person objects. So in this case, we are going to just return person object. Okay. Yeah, the reason I'm using ID-1 is I'm actually using very simple array to keep track of the people. Okay. So this is not really relevant to response body. So response body annotation is again to send the data directly to the client without getting any view resolver involved, and we create a data ourselves. And basically creating a data in the response body. Is that clear? Okay, so that is response body. Now let's talk about the formats and produces and consumes. So we have seen example in the previous slide already. Okay, so let's talk about the produce and consumes. So produce and consumes talking about the format of the data. So the request could have accept header set with, in this case, application/XML. What it means is the client asking the server the response format should be in XML format. So accept header is indicating client desired response format. Is the desired format that client wants to receive from the server. So in this case, because client says give me a response in XML, the response should be sending data in the form of XML. And the server typically set content type as well. So content type says, this is XML data type. Okay, so when we say format, we are talking about these things. Okay, so you can certainly support multiple formats, and so client server can send and receive data in multiple formats, and client can send data in XML, and they could actually receive the data in JSON format, things like that. And usually these days JSON is the format of choice in most applications, but there are many different kinds of formats that are supported. Okay. In general, the JSON and XMLs are two most popular formats your application need to support. And if you have to choose between the two, JSON is the format that is more preferred these days. Okay, so regarding HTTP headers, in relation to format, so how does a client specify acceptable response format? Meaning, how does a client specify desired response format? That is again through accept HTTP request header. Okay. Second question: how does a client specify its request format? The data in its request body, again, it could set content type request header. So it could be XML, it could be JSON, it could be text. Okay. How does a server specify its response format? Again, it could specify its response format in content type. So content type could be used in both request and response. However, accept is only in request header, because accept header is indicating client's desired response format. Okay, so accept is always in request header. Okay, so let's talk about the produces and consumes. So produces is used to specify the my media type of representation. We're talking about the format. Okay, so these are, you know, the same thing. Media type of representation or format, those are two interchangeably usable terms here. So you can specify the format a resource can produce and send back to the client. So when you happen to have request mapping and it does have a value and it does have a method, now it could have produces attribute as well. In produces attribute, you can specify the type of the data that this method can generate. So in this case, this guy can generate either XML or JSON. Okay, so in this case, this account object will be either converted to XML or JSON into the response body, depending on what user wants. If the user wants JSON, then of course it will be produced into JSON format. If the user says XML, then it will generate XML. Okay, so that is produces. So produces specifying what data format this particular handler can generate. That's produces. Okay, moving forward. Consumes is what format this particular handler can consume. So in this case, this handler can consume XML data or JSON data that is coming from the client. So if the client sends data format that is not XML or that is not JSON, then this guy will send back 415 error. That is actually, I think, unsupported type or something like that. Okay. We also have a 406, right? So if the client says, give me the type of XML, give me the type of, let's say, XYZ type, okay, and that XYZ type is not something this guy can produce, then that is an error of 406, unacceptable, the type. Okay, any questions on produces and consumes? Yeah, we're gonna actually do some experimentation of these things, and you will have a chance to play around. Any questions on produces and consumes? Okay, let's move on. Now, XML binding. So what is XML binding? So, without using some kind of XML binding technology such as JAX-B, Spring Framework doesn't know how to convert Java object to XML or XML to Java. Okay, you have to give some instruction to the Spring Framework through what is called JAX-B annotation. So these are examples of JAX-B annotation. So when customer object needs to be converted into XML, basically what I'm saying is that this is a root element. The root element is named as a customer. And for any sub-element, I should actually say XML element, meaning in this case customer ID and zip, and we have probably a bunch of other methods that could be annotated with XML element. You can use XML element on the field, or you can use XML element on a method like this. Okay, so these JAX-B annotations are instructions to Spring Framework in terms of how to convert this Java object into XML and vice versa. Okay, so when this when Java object with these JAX-B annotations are in fact converted into XML, this is what you are going to see. So we have customer as a root element, then we have a bunch of the sub-element, and those sub-element should be annotated with this XML element annotation. Okay, so without this JAX-B annotations, Spring Framework will not know how to convert Java object to XML. Is that clear? and we're going to actually do some experimentation later on. Okay, so we're going to do exercise 2. So here we're going to actually deal with the XML and JSON. So let's take a look at the lab. So we are going to actually start with the MVC REST people 01 initial. So this is the project that we are going to add code one by one. Okay, I actually provided the sample applications that reflect each step, but here we're going to actually just change this guy to support JSON, to support XML, and then we're going to do create, update, and delete and things like that. So we're going to just use this guy to add code and then move on to the next step. So here we are going to add JSON and XML support for get operation. Okay, so let's actually run this guy first, and so stop the server and then run as Java application. For now, it's actually standalone. I mean, it's just the JSP application as we have seen so far. Okay, and now we're going to actually add some RESTful support. Okay. Okay, so it's deployed. Let's go to the root. Oops, what's going on here? Oh, I probably have to say people here. Yeah, I should say people. Okay, so slash people. So there are 5 people, and if I want to get a particular user, so I say 2, then it will give you second person information. If I say 3, then it will display third person and things like that. Okay, so that is how this initial application works. Okay, so we just did this, and if you take a look at the code, we basically created a people list object. Okay, so we have 5 people created. Okay, and then here we are retrieving the data. We are basically receiving in the form of HTML because we are using the view resolver. So we are not using any response body. We are using view resolver. So in this case, it's returning people the logical string. So it's returning people logical string, and so it will display the data in people.jsp page. So if you take a look at the here main web app and web inf and views, we have a people.jsp page, okay, which display the people in the table format. And when a particular user is chosen, so that is the retrieve one person in HTML. We are just returning a person logical view after we setting the person the model attribute. Okay, so the person JSP page is displaying that particular person. Okay, so this is what we have learned all along up to this point. Okay, so now we're gonna add JSON support. So what we want to do is something like this. We want to display that information. So what we want to do is something like this. So I want to display third person just like a JSON like this, and it doesn't honor that because we haven't add the support. Also, if I want to receive all people in the JSON format, I want to do something like this, people.json. Okay, so for now it's not working. Okay, so that's what we are going to change. So we need to now use a response body. Okay, and we're going to actually use the media type as well. So what we are going to do is we are going to for get all operation, we are going to add produces and media type application JSON value. So I'm going to do that here. So we are going to go to the controller, and controller is get all people. So so we're gonna actually add this method. Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna just okay, I want to write code. So let's actually write code here. So this is retrieve all people in JSON. Okay, so I'm going to have a method called, we're going to actually request mapping, and the method has to be get. So request the mapping dot get is request method. Okay, request method dot get. Okay, and we need to produce this. So we're going to actually say produces, and the media type is going to be media type. Media type is JSON. It's the application. Is that what is it? It's application JSON value. So application media type yeah. So why it doesn't like that? So I'll just actually have this guy over here, and let's see whether and then we are going to have a method. So I'm going to just try public, and it's going to be list of person, and the name of the method I'm going to just call get all, and here we're going to just return people list. Okay, and let's see, it doesn't like application value. Oh, so let's actually import the class. And okay, so why it doesn't like the import the class? So let me just copy this guy. Okay, still doesn't like it. So maybe there is some syntax errors. Media type. So media type is should be media type. Yeah. So let me just import this guy. Yeah, it should be actually importable right away. Oh, I have the wrong media type. That's the reason. Okay, yeah. So it should be the framework HTTP media type. That was the problem. Okay, so I created the JSON. I create a method that should generate JSON format of people list. Okay. So that is pretty much it. And in terms of retrieving one person, we're gonna actually do the same thing. So in this case, I'm gonna just copy this code, and okay, so that should work pretty much the same. Why it doesn't like a response body here? What did it say? Cannot be resolved to the type. That's interesting. Oh, yeah, we didn't import the class, and I also need the response body over here as well. Get all here. I forgot that here, right? Okay, so save the change. Okay, now we're gonna actually restart the application. Okay, so we'll restart the application, and then run the application again. Now we should be able to say people.json, and it should display these 5 people in the form of JSON. Okay. All right. So it's done. So let's actually try. So yeah. So if I refresh this page, it should display in the JSON format. And if I want to get a single person, then if I say people/2. If I say just 2, this one still should work fine. But if I want to get it in JSON format, then it should work like this. But at this point, XML doesn't work, right? So if I say XML, then it will still go back to HTML. But JSON format works fine, like this. And let's see the third person, 3.json. Yeah, third person. So things are working fine. Okay. So what we're gonna do at this point is we're gonna use a call. Okay, so we are gonna use the call. So I'm gonna open okay, so here I am going to use a call, and you know, the URL is supposed to be http://localhost:8080 and people.json, and you should actually return JSON data, as you have seen. And so you know, this is one way that you can specify that I want the data in JSON format. Another way you can do is you can actually set the accept header. All right, and here you specify just, you know, people without JSON, but we are using the header. Okay, so I'm gonna just copy this code, and you should actually honor that, right? If I don't, if you're not specifying the header, then it will actually return HTML. All right, yeah. And the same thing for individual users. So I should be able to say curl and the people1.json. That should work fine. And also I should be able to use this guy as well. Okay. All right. And you can actually get this data to be pretty printed out. If you want to add HTTP mappers, JSON pretty print that true. So let's actually try that. So I'm gonna go to the application properties, which is on the SRC main resources, and I want to add this guy here. Okay. Oops, not that one. I want this guy to be added here. Okay, so print it true. Now if I restart the application, I should say control 11. Okay, so now if I try these things in the call, it gives you a cleaner, actually prettier format. So if I want to go just the people, then it should actually give me the 5 people in more readable format, I would say. Okay. 2.3 is adding XML support to JSON for one item. So here you are going to actually add, so here, you know, so in this case, we want to support not only JSON, but we also want to support XML value. So you can actually have this guy as the curly brace, and then so what it means is that it could produce not only JSON but also XML. Okay, and then when you restart the application, so why don't I do that? So here is the get item. So controller code is here. Okay, and here, in addition to the JSON, I could actually add XML. So I can say media type application, and should be the XML value. Yeah, so you can choose any of this. Yes, so I'll just choose this guy. Okay. All right, so save the change and stop the server, and control 11, and should actually run it again, and then we should be able to now get the data in XML form. So let's go to here. So here, instead of, so I'm gonna just use this format. So JSON still should work fine, and now I should actually get XML, and should actually, oops, I didn't actually have XML, did I? So if I click this guy, oh, so not supported. So somehow we missed something. So when you say 4 or 6, it's not acceptable, meaning the client asked for the XML, but this guy cannot produce it. So maybe I didn't save the change. Yeah, looks like I did save the change. So let me see what's going on here. So this is the people controller, and that's the one that I changed. So retrieve one in JSON. So method get, we set JSON value and XML value, and then it should actually work. So let me see if there is anything that I need to do. Oh, I see. So this is expected. Okay, good. Yeah. So the reason is because, again, this is the when JAXB data binding was not specified. Okay. So when you take a look at the person class, if you go to the person class, it doesn't person class, not person JSON, person class, domain class here. If you take a look at the person class, it doesn't have any JAXB annotation. So the server application does not know how to create XML from Java object. Okay, so we have to actually use this here. We are using XML JAXB annotation, XML root element like this, and then import the class. Okay, and for the so if you don't specify the sub element, then it will just take the name of this field. It will take a name of this field and make a sub element. Now let's see whether this one works. Okay, so it will not work, and I'll explain why. So I'll stop it, and let's run it again. Control 11. Okay, so let's see whether it works. Okay, it works or not, and it still doesn't work. Okay, the reason is because, so it still doesn't work. The reason is because you have to have no arg constructor, okay, in your person domain class. Okay, because it has its own constructor, this no arg constructor is not automatically added. So we need to actually add this no arg constructor. So we're gonna actually add to this guy. So I'm going to just copy this code, save the change, and stop the server, and control F11 to start the application. Now let's see whether XML retrieving a person in fact works now. Okay, now if everything is fine, it should work. XML, yeah, it worked. Okay, so last name Shin, and if I want to get the second person, oh, that's JSON and just XML. Okay, so second person also worked, right? Okay, so now we have supported both JSON and XML. Okay, so it worked now. In fact, if you actually go to from a browser, so I'm gonna actually open it in the browser. So here, copy it, and then let me actually go over here to XML. Yeah, you can see it displayed the person in XML. Okay, if you see the source, of course, it is in fact XML data. Okay. All right, so we've done that, and then you can certainly try with a call. And so here you are using extension here, but I could actually use the accept header as well. So here I don't say .xml at the end, but I'm actually setting the accept header. So that should actually work the same. Okay, so that worked. And now 2.4. So this is a case that XML, when you're trying to use an XML conversion for collection of data, so this is a bit involved. Okay, so in JSON it handles it very nicely. So but in XML you have to create another class. So I have to create a class called the people.java, and that will have a root element of people. Then it contains a list of the people, and it does have a no arg constructor, and then it does have XML element name person, and then it's a list of person, get people, and things like that. So this is something you have to do in getting a collection in XML. So let's actually do that. So I am going to create on the domain here, I'm going to create a new class, and I'm going to call it people, view people, and then I'm going to just copy this code. Okay, and save the change. And then we are going to handle, so here now we are going to actually retrieve all XML. So we're going to actually add another method. Okay, so we're going to add another method called the get all in XML, and we create a people object which has its own JXB annotation. Then we return people object, and of course you have to use response body in this case, and of course you produce this XML. Okay, so I'm going to just copy this code, and in controller here, and I have to import the class. Okay, save the change and stop the server and control F11, and now we should be able to get the data in XML, meaning the all people in so we should be able to do people.xml file. So if I do this, and we should actually have all people in XML format. Okay, and of course this one should work fine at the command line as well using call. So call here, yeah, so that should work fine. So we are receiving the people in the form of XML. Okay, so and you can certainly use REST client. So let's actually try to use yeah, so I'm going to actually use Postman. So I am going to use this guy, XML, and here I specified the URL, and this is a get operation, so I will just send, and then you can see it received in XML format. Okay, and you can do the same thing with the REST client. It should work the same. Okay, so that is the change I want you to make in exercise 2, and I'll give you enough time. I'll give you guys about the 20 to 22 minutes. Okay, so I'll give you 22 minutes to do exercise 2. Okay.